All right, you guys, happy Thursday. Last show until I take a much needed break. And it's going to be a good one. As always, as we continue this investigation, we are definitively getting closer. So what do we recall? Well, we were told that Charlie just had healthy bones, that it was a miracle that the gun did not take his neck out and that his spine somehow stopped it. I can now officially debunk that Marvel storyline and therefore refocus our investigation on what actually happened on 9/10 because I have new information and I'm presenting it to the public today.
Candace Owens is no longer merely a talker. The internet is rife with rumors about one of the scariest stories ever, and she's charging right into the storm. It's not about clicks or clout this time. It concerns what she claims to be the long-buried truth. Candace is probing the shadows and posing the question that few dare to pose, while the rest of the media remains oddly silent. Who actually wished for Charlie to be removed from the limelight? Owens claims to have collected what she refers to as sensitive materials. Things that, should they prove to be true, might completely upend the story. Private notes, emails, and messages. Everything she says has the potential to reveal something enormous. She does, however, warn everyone that these are her conclusions rather than verified proof. However, when Candace disclosed that she had already distributed a backup package to individuals, she's a profound trust. She claims that this action ensures that her information won't simply disappear overnight. However, I went ahead and delivered a box to people I trust this week that included a life insurance policy of some kind. A bundle of private communications, films, emails, private legal documents, and text messages. So you guys will know exactly who has been making my life a living hell for the past couple of years if something were to happen to me. That realization came as a chilly jolt. It depicted a woman who doesn't want to give up even if she feels like she's going right into danger. Then the part that ignited social media. According to a number of people, Charlie appeared uncomfortable during his last days in the spotlight, as if he sensed something was looming over him. Candace Owens now claims that she is truly afraid for her safety, and it's evident in everything she says. Her admonition was not whispered. She yelled it clearly, declaring in public that the truth would still go viral online if she ever experienced any unusual circumstances. It was more than simply words. It had the sound of an electronic trapdoor that was poised to open at the first hint of quiet. Candace disclosed that she has already distributed all of her files, emails, audio, films, and texts to 8 reliable individuals in various places, referring to them as her truth safes. She claims that the files will still go up online despite any efforts to stop her. That's a strategy, not a panic. The online response was intense. It was a daring move that shouted, "You can take me out of the spotlight, but you can't bury what I found." After his own near miss, one host half-joked that he was also putting up a cold switch system. "Those who are attempting to force me into bankruptcy, attempting to force my family and I into bankruptcy and threatening to sue us." Kanye's words were very authentic. Well, here is the time when you look back and realize that Kanye was correct. He was actually discussing what it takes to battle for custody of your own spirit and to escape. Just give me some space. Let me express my beliefs, and you express yours. Fight fairly. Why must you constantly threaten to force people into bankruptcy? Just in case. However, there was a noticeable strain beneath the laughing. That unsettling sensation that seeps into your flesh and remains there. Even he acknowledged that being vocal these days doesn't only attract attention. There is actual risk involved. It's similar to witnessing a magician repeatedly perform the same trick. Before the hat even twitches, you already know the trick. Candace's statement struck like a bolt of lightning. It was more than a remark. It was a single explosive sentence that combined a prophecy, a warning, and a dare. Now the same urgent question is being asked by everyone. Are we all acting as though we don't notice the illusion? Or is Candace revealing something that has been concealed in plain sight? Before us? "Before the hat moves, you already know where the rabbit goes," she remarked. And the internet was split in two by that one quote. There was more to it than a metaphor. To anyone listening, it sounded like a hidden communication. Social media was in disarray in a matter of minutes, with comment sections popping, timelines on fire, and people trying to decipher her statements. Additionally, I want you to be aware of, if something were to happen to me, those individuals would have my express consent to leak everything, blow everything up. and expose all of these politicians and movement members who act in such a way behind the scenes. It's essential, and I strongly advise everyone with a platform who is experiencing difficulties and is afraid to follow suit. Distribute everything to 8 or so persons you can trust. In other words, I've ranged it. I shared screenshots, text messages, and it to journalists, including Andrew Tate and Max Blumenthal. They won't understand its source, as if they were taken directly from a spy thriller. She didn't mention names, but everyone knew exactly what she was implying. It's official now. The switch has been flipped by Candace Owens. She no longer teases her followers or bluffs for clicks. She's lying about everything out. Her goal is quite clear, her evidence is secured, and her work is well sealed. Under pressure, she even urged other creators to follow suit, backing up everything and dispersing their data like digital confetti to ensure that no one could ever remove it all. Candace went on to say that although no one is certain of their identities or whereabouts, she transmitted copies of her files to a select group of reliable journalists and public personalities. There are 8 individuals, 8 secret vaults, and 8 strands that cannot be sliced all at once. The remaining lines continue to move even if one goes down. Fear isn't that. It's a brilliant move. You can turn weakness into unstoppable power in this way. The internet now does more than just watch Candace. It's attempting to determine if this is merely self-defense or the most brilliant move anyone has made in a long time. 3 individuals revealed to me off the record that 2 individuals that have this in a written correspondence from Charlie are one of the white knights in this, and I would say a donor to Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk stated that he believed he was going to be killed the day before he passed away. She has created what she refers to as her digital shield, which is impenetrable, while the others remained phantoms in the system. Reports even suggest that writer Max Blumenthal may be one of her favored vault keepers, dispersed, quiet, and totally indestructible. Beneath his comedy, his remarks were powerful. He began by making a joke about how people misinterpret phrases. Something is no longer yours once it becomes public knowledge. They take it, spin it, remix it, and transform it into something else entirely. That's why Candace keeps her files protected in encrypted safes, he claimed. She is in control, not because she is afraid. Then came the moment that completely upended the internet. Candace verified that her failsafe was operational the second time. Online chaos broke out. In a matter of minutes, hashtags such as Kirkruth, your Candace files, and YaSwitch activated dominated every feed. Comment sections turned to become online battlefields. Everyone was curious about who was in possession of the files, what was in them, and why she would put herself in danger to keep them safe. Rumors began to spread more quickly than the truth could keep up. The majority of those who claimed to have witnessed leaks from her purported data on private forums were later found to be fraudulent. Nevertheless, the craze continued unabated. Emails filled inboxes, reporters began phoning networks, and then there was a sudden pause. Candace disappeared from all platforms for nearly 2 days. No updates, stories, or posts, nothing. Any speech she could have made would not have had the same impact as that silence. According to 3 different sources, someone close to Candace Owens said, "I think something bad is going to happen." And those quiet words have now become the center of the entire storm. People began to ask, is Candace Owens really guarding something explosive? Or has the mystery itself become the story? He said to them, "I believe they're going to murder me." All right? That's not what he told me. So I'm telling you this based on 3 people's testimonies. And the reason I'm saying this is to perhaps encourage these people, whom I believe to be good, to come out with it. Once more, those were private chats. I respect that. It remains off record if I say so. Document. However, I'm looking for the same level of anxiety and the sense that something was rapidly approaching. Even if those private conversations may never be made public, the trend is unavoidable. People with knowledge of the matter said that Charlie's latest conflict with major donors was no longer about money. It was about independence, ideas, and control. According to reports, he had begun to distance himself from strong individuals connected to important contracts and global networks. Those who prefer to steer the conversation were not pleased with this action. He reportedly told many acquaintances that he felt as though the walls were closing in on him, as if the truth he was seeking had finally begun to pursue him back, just one day before everything fell apart. He claimed that it was they who made him feel afraid. not some stranger or hapless stalker. They are now echoing that one word through every discussion, hypothesis, and late-night live broadcast. Candace also says it repeatedly. They. People pull in closer, wondering if she already knows exactly who she's pointing at because of the way she drags that word. The internet is holding its breath at the moment. The next revelation might upend all we believe to be true if what she has been implying is true. It no longer feels like gossip. Is true. It no longer feels like gossip. A countdown seems to be ticking away in front of us. Then, without warning, a brief, grainy video appeared online. One day prior to the tragedy in Utah, footage of what appeared to be Charlie sitting inside a car was captured. His eyes darted, about as if he couldn't sit still, and his tone was nervous. He continued saying, "If something happens to me, look at the ones who switch sides." That one line went viral online, similar to thunder. The timing of the clip was too good to be true, but no one knew where it originated. The video became viral in a matter of hours. While some referred to it as altered, others insisted it was authentic. The online energy, however, went nuclear in any case. People wanted answers. Every frame was replayed by commentators. Critics jumped in like sharks, sniffing out a story, while fans deconstructed his body language. And among all the confusion, one query continued to grow louder. Who are they? Some pundits dismissed her as theatrical and laughed her off. Some criticized her harshly, claiming she was only exploiting the issue for clicks. She was even made fun of by talk show presenters, as if she were the star of her own spy film. However, her fans grew more quickly the more they made fun of her. Thousands of people flooded X and Rumble with the same rallying cry in a matter of hours. One voice was silenced. They're afraid about the next one now. It was a chaotic, irrepressible, emotionally charged digital uprising that seemed to be bursting in real time, but it wasn't what Candace said that made everyone shiver. What she didn't say was it. She subtly alluded to the fact that fragments of her evidence were already dispersed online, pieces dispersed too widely to ever be removed. Her exact words, "distributed truth," caused them to freeze. Something cannot be destroyed after it has been replicated enough times. It seemed like an ice storm to say that line. The warning that the story was already out there, waiting to come to light on its own, was not a threat. Then everything went haywire. Max Blumenthal, an independent journalist, said in a mysterious post that he had interesting materials related to. He claimed he would only release them if the circumstances warranted it, and mentioned Candace's ongoing investigation. Overnight, that one post became viral. Online detectives become full-time investigators in a matter of hours, following every rumor, file name, and clue. They dissected everything, including his donation records, emails, and posts, as if they were detectives searching for undiscovered clues, convinced that the true story was about to come to light. Even a computerized map that claimed to have 8 secret locations was posted online, drives concealed in several nations. But the paranoia grew like wildfire, and no one could prove it. The mainstream media attempted to brush it off as exaggerated internet chatter. However, the news had already escaped and was uncontrollable by that point. After a while, even CNN intervened, characterizing the situation as a digital craze fueled by suspicion and conjecture. The fire was maintained, however, by one detail. The version of events simply did not add together. The entire report was tightly sealed. The family of the alleged suspect remained silent. Additionally, a leaked video from a parking lot revealed an enigmatic individual whose shape didn't even correspond with the name on file. The whispers started then. Initially quiet, it gets louder every hour. Just incisive inquiries, no crazy allegations. What is absent? Who is in charge? Back. And why does it seem that the actual truth is hiding in plain sight, right in front of us? Supporters of Candace began referring to it as the decade's largest media scandal. A digital tempest that will not go away. Some fringe voices even conjectured that influential organizations were surreptitiously keeping tabs on the whole thing. It seemed unrealistic until individuals realized that important messages, articles, and overnight, even archived data was disappearing from the public eye. The internet went crazy over Tucker Carlson's broadcast once he finally broke his silence. It was like an earthquake when he declared, "When journalists start activating dead man switches, something has gone deeply wrong in America." For many, that felt like confirmation that Tucker doesn't talk without cause. Perhaps Candace wasn't going overboard. Things had gotten considerably worse by the following morning. A purportedly internal use-only memo that mentioned data breaches linked to multiple media figures under covert digital surveillance leaked online. The internet immediately linked it to Candace. Is she the subject of that memo? Hashtags like, "They known Candace," "Warned us and switch activated" were trending on all the main platforms within minutes. Within 48 hours, Candace's Rumble views tripled and her fan base exploded with one shared conviction. No one in authority wanted the world to witness what was going on. Her subsequent post followed, brief, eerie, and unforgettable. The only thing that keeps you alive when the truth becomes a threat is courage. She vanished once more immediately after publishing that. No tweets, live streams, uploads, or anything else for 2 whole days. Quiet. The panic struck hard at that point. Desperate messages filled Telegram channels. Candace is where? Is she all right? Were they able to reach her? The internet had changed. From being inquisitive to being afraid, and it seemed as though something enormous was going to collapse. Has she really been heard from? There was complete commotion on the internet when screenshots of Candace's last seen status began to circulate. "I hope she's safe." Elon Musk then jumped in and posted the tweet, which received over 40 million views. Suddenly, her fans weren't the only ones who were concerned. Everyone was involved. The atmosphere was entirely different when Candace eventually returned. Her voice was steady and low, her face was serene but transformed, and the lighting in her film was dramatic and dark. There was only a hard, icy determination, no laughs, no sarcasm. "I'm all right," she said quietly. "However, this surpasses me." That's when the internet noticed the story wasn't cooling off. A whole new level was going to be reached. She termed it larger than Charlie. "They don't merely," she said, looking directly into the camera, "I want silence. They desire compliance." That phrase echoed across all the platforms like thunder. 10 complete seconds of silence followed. Before the screen turned black, there was only silence, no sound, no movement. The internet lost its mind. She appeared scared, according to some viewers. She appeared prepared for battle, according to others. It didn't feel like another post in any case. It was authentic, like unadulterated terror encased in defiance. Even her most critical detractors ceased teasing and fell silent, obviously apprehensive about what would happen next. Then the internet was split in two by the leak. A grainy screenshot started circulating, an email purportedly from Candace's secured account. "Do not delete part 1" was the subject line. There was only one attachment, no body content and no message. Funding. Conflicts, due is the label. XLSX. All accounts that attempted to disseminate it were suspended within hours. Is it a coincidence? Perhaps, but no one believed in coincidences anymore on the internet. That enigmatic file turned out to be the catalyst that ignited everything once more. Speculation exploded. Others asserted it was a ruse to expose her supporters, while others said it included donation information connected to influential people. Prior to a larger decrease, it didn't matter that no one could verify what was true. Millions of people were riveted to their TVs by the mystery alone, and Candace remained unflappable throughout it all. She returned to the air a few hours later. This time, her calm tone was broken by emotion and fire in her eyes. As she spoke, her voice wavered with passion. "They've tried to silence me, smear me, erase me," she cried. There were hearts and startled emojis all over the discussion, which was chaotic. Screen. "I'm not disappearing. The truth is already out there. It's only a matter of time before everyone sees it." Candace's voice broke mid-sentence, a mix of fear and rage, and somehow that raw expression made it clear to everyone watching that she was no longer just reporting. She sounded even more convincing because of her emotion. By that time, the internet had developed a new obsession. Screenshots, the Kirk files, and purported file names like 3A, 5C, and 7H. Whether they were real or not didn't even matter anymore because the myth had already taken on a life of its own. Those so-called files weren't just documents anymore. They were symbols that demonstrated to millions of people that no matter how strong the system appeared to be, the Candace Covenant, 8 anonymous people, 8 hidden vaults, and one unstoppable idea. Once the truth is out, it can never be contained again. What began as a mystery had evolved into a movement, power entwined with paranoia. If even half of what Candace claimed was true, then this story had already expanded far beyond Charlie Kirk. However, there is always someone brave enough to push back. Nobody had answers, but everyone could sense it. Who are they? Who did Charlie fear enough to mention the day before everything happened? And who was Candace really warning the world about? It was no longer just about one tragedy. It was now a story about control, influence, and what happens when truth becomes dangerous. You can silence one person, but how can you silence something that has already been copied, downloaded, and shared globally? When Candace returned to the internet, the atmosphere had completely changed, and the internet no longer felt like a debate but rather like a battlefield, with lines drawn, sides selected, and you either thinking Candace was sitting on. There was no middle ground left. Only tension, fear, and pure anticipation as everyone waited for the next move. The next drop, the next twist, and then suddenly it happened. A brief, shaky video appeared on X, and the quality was awful. Something explosive enough to shake the entire movement to its core. Or you thought she'd gone too deep into the very chaos she helped create. Grainy, mysterious, and impossible to ignore. The clip appeared to be a fragment from what many thought were the rumored Kirk files. A tiny shard that felt way too real to ignore. The audio was barely audible, but the timing was unbelievable, and it spread like wildfire within minutes. Charlie Kirk was shown at a dinner table with 2 unidentified people and a well-known political donor, their faces half lit like a scene from a secret meeting. Clearly, I'm done following their script. I don't care who tries to stop me. That sentence hit the internet like lightning. It was bright, fast, and impossible to outrun. Within minutes, the clip was all over the internet, being reposted, slowed, captioned, and examined frame by frame before abruptly disappearing for so-called. The disappearance pumped the gas, and the moment it was gone, the internet went crazy, and the theories began to spread like wildfire. People began demanding receipts, shouting cover-ups, and analyzing every pixel for clues, reflections, background chatter, and even glassware shapes. Some people swore it was artificial intelligence, AI, while others swore it was real. However, everyone agreed on one thing. Someone plainly didn't want the footage viewed, and the timing felt a little too perfect to be coincidental. Just hours before the clip aired, Candace had tweeted a scary remark. "The clock is ticking." The newsroom scrambled as the video dropped like a signal flare, nearly on cue. It didn't feel like a coincidence, but rather like a switch being flipped, like she pushed a domino, and the entire row began to fall. YouTubers, Substack writers, and podcasters zoomed into reflections, mapped audio, and chased every pixel like detectives working the night shift. Then came the bigger question, the 8. The enigmatic 8 people who were rumored to hold copies of Candace's story. Fox News remained silent. CNN waved it off as digital mirage, and MSNBC called it a reckless stunt from a fading personality. When journalist Max Blumenthal finally broke his silence on his own channel, the internet went into full meltdown. He did not confirm the leak, but he did not deny it either. Speculation quickly erupted about encrypted files, with some claiming that one of them leaked the clip early and others claiming it was a calculated warning shot to prove the data is real with more to follow if she's ever targeted again. "I can't verify if that clip came from her vault," he said slowly, his tone deliberate, almost strategic. "But I can tell you the fear in certain circles right now is very real." That one line shook Washington like an aftershock, upending every political sphere, and within hours, Verified government accounts began posting about foreign tampering and digital misinformation. However, the way they all appeared at once felt too organized. The official Utah police website that had been providing public updates on Charlie's case abruptly went down for maintenance for almost 2 full days. And when it returned, people discovered something startling. Several case files were missing, including important reports, timestamps, and entire sections of surveillance. It seemed like everyone was preparing their alibi before anyone even asked the question. Even the skeptics began surveying the situation. The timing, the missing data, the quiet coordination. It all felt too clean to be true. The footage had disappeared without explanation, and the silence that followed was not one of calm, but rather of tension so intense that you could feel it through the screen. Be random. Candace's followers went crazy. One viral post yelled, "They're wiping the evidence in real time," and hit 2 million views in under an hour. How could a case that public lose half its digital trail overnight? The timing was too precise, too orderly, too purposeful. And then suddenly, even the neutral voices, the ones that had been sitting on the fence, were shaken. One of the 8 has already taken action, and the others will. Candace Owens went live once more. The screen flickered for a moment before her face appeared, calm but fierce, eyes burning like someone who had already come to terms with the fact that there is no turning back. She said slowly, "If they thought Charlie's story ended in Utah, they were wrong. His story is only beginning." Every major political show was buzzing about it by the weekend, with some hosts dismissing it as dramatic and others more cautious, admitting she might be sitting on something too explosive to ignore. That one sentence struck the internet like a lightning strike. Was she confirming the leak, hinting at another drop? No one knew for sure, but the tension was electric. Within hours, the phrase "dead man switch" became the #1 search term in the world. People were refreshing their feeds non-stop, waiting for the next clip, the next file, the next detonation of truth. But as the weekend dragged on, something strange happened. A stillness settled over the chaos. No new uploads, no leaks, just silence. It was as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the "let's talk about it." Leave your thoughts in the comments, hit like, share this video, and remember to subscribe for the next chapter, because whatever comes next is about to happen. Next domino to fall. What happens now? Do we see another leak, another drop, another shockwave? Or does someone finally step in and shut it all down for good? Shake everything. See you at the next one. Shake everything. See you at the next